Okay, let's talk about kitchen sadhana. So sadhana, this is a word that really reflects the same root as sadaka pitta, and it's really the one who is conscious, the one who is connected to divine action. And so many of you know aphorisms like chop wood, carry water, that before enlightenment, after enlightenment, the tasks are the same, but the level of presence is what has changed. And really that to me is what that word sadhana is all about. And so we take something that's like very spiritual, right? And then we take something that's like super, in many ways, mundane. And I don't mean not in a non-elevating way, but really just commonplace. We're human beings, we need to eat. Right? We need to eat daily. And so we're taking something that's really spiritual and we're mixing it with the mundane, and we're doing it in a way that, like, how do we consciously bring the ecosystem outside into becoming our inner ecosystem, right? And so when we look at, it's like the yin-yang symbol, when we look at the flow of how we're forming our actual bodily tissue, a lot of that has to do with this consciousness part. And that's what the word sadhana is really reflecting, right? Is consciousness in action. The action is what? How we're preparing foods, but also a lot of the kitchen sadhana has to do with tasks. Like, how is the atmosphere of our kitchen? Is the atmosphere of our kitchen one that actually raises our awareness? And with kitchen sadhana, I also bring it into garden sadhana, compost sadhana, wildcraft sadhana, all of these different things. What I have found is that kitchen sadhana breaks down into these two categories of like things that I do that really elevate the consciousness of my food preparation, right? To make eating really, really actually fun and simple, to make meal prep a little bit more streamlined, and to make sure that I have the staples on hand that I need to have to make it easier to make those staples, right? And then the second part is actually making some food that are more of the staples, the things that will last more than a couple of meals, right? And it's something that, it's not just like making a dish and having leftovers, it's more of making the stuff. So for instance, my kid is homesick today, and I have boot candy in the cupboard, right? Boot candy is a mixture of honey and ginger and turmeric and a little bit of cloves, maybe a little pinch of cinnamon in there. And that's something that's one of our staples. I may only make it once a winter, right? And I might make enough to have that good spicy raw honey mix throughout the entire winter, so that today when she needs it, it's not this big rush of like, okay, now I've got to make the stuff, right? And so that's really the benefit of having staples. They last. They're things that last a long time. So when I look at this whole thing, like, how much time are we actually talking here? What I find is that every fortnight or so, about every 2 weeks, I'll put in a good session. I'll put in a good couple hours. Sometimes, especially in gardening season, I'll put in like a good half day of weeding, of harvesting, of dehydrating, of restocking certain things in cupboards. But in general, it's a natural rhythm that you'll find. So I would just say, 7 to 14 days, you want to have a kitchen sadhana session. You want to find your own rhythm, because when you find your own rhythm, you'll find that it's something that you really like doing. So some people will do it as a meditation in action. I'm not that sattvic. I'm a little bit more rajasic. So I'll often listen to a podcast or listen to an audiobook, something that really keeps my mind engaged while I go through some very, very, very simple, again, mundane processes. And some of them around the tasks, right? We have some really sort of simple tasks of like, there's the sense of like the conscious atmospheres. Is there order? Do you need to do some cleaning? Are your cupboards organized? Are your spices refreshed? Are things in the right place? So architecting your choices, right? And so say, for instance, you're finding that you want to eat more vegetables, or you want to have tea instead of coffee, or you want to cut back on chocolate and have more raw honey as your sweet thing. So how are you architecting those choices? And when you're doing a kitchen sadhana sesh, I love that word. It just means like, okay, we're going to do a session here. Like, we're going to make some things move forward here. You can take some time to change things out in your cupboards, how they're organized, what has priority. When you open the doors of your refrigerator, say you're trying to eat more vegetables and you want your carrots and your celery and your radishes all prepared right there on the door. So when you open the door of the refrigerator, they're just like staring at you. So a lot of this tasks and staples, you'll notice there's certain things with food preparation where you're preparing your future body. And that truly is the name of the game. And what that means is that you're putting some of this consciousness, some of this intentionality into action, right? And what I found is that some things with my kitchen sadhana stay the same every season, even on the annual cycle, and then some of them even on the bi-monthly cycle. And then other things really, really change. So if we look at the annual cycle, for me with kitchen sadhana, right now we're going into spring here. There's some weeds that are starting to pop up. I'll start doing some pretty big harvesting as soon as the baby thistles are big enough, and I'll dehydrate a couple pounds of thistle. And then the clover will come up, and then the lamb's quarter will come up, and I'll just harvest. Harvesting for me around here, the weeds, takes about 5 minutes a pound. It's crazy fast, right? A weed is a weed. And getting in the rhythm of drying it. Now, once it's dried, I might then, a couple weeks later, after I have all this stuff, all this sort of like the premium spring crop dehydrated, is I'll start mixing my winter teas. I'll start grinding them into powders and make my green powder. I might do a few different things. I might make an artisan salt with it, right? And that's all happening under staples, right? I'm making staples. What I find is that like nature is so abundant that my staples actually go into gift giving. So what's fascinating to me is that I'm able to actually gift my consciousness, right, into my core peeps. It's a way of sharing really at the energetic, essential experience that I'm having with my people. And they love it. My family loves receiving my gifts because they know I made it. Even though I can buy lots of stuff online for them or whatnot, or shop locally, they know that I'm part of it. I'm part of what they're eating, and it just brings back that old tradition. For some of you, this might be like way over the top. And if it's way over the top, you just start with cleaning your kitchen. You start with redoing your spice rack so that your spices are fresh. You start with architecting your choices and designing your cabinets in your refrigerator the way that emphasizes the stuff you actually want to put in your body. And for others, there's this other level of getting very much connected to the ecosystem, getting connected to harvest cycles, and then to value-added products where you're actually creating different staples. For me, I'm more of the everyday food front. There's certain staples I like to have. I like to have dehydrated, sprouted buckwheat in my pantry. That's something that takes a little effort. I also like to have soaked, peeled, dehydrated almonds. These are things that I might make those once every 2 months. Doesn't take long. Most of the things with kitchen sadhana, it's like 5 minutes here, 5 minutes there. And so when you have a bunch of different things that you're making, so you're making sauerkraut and sprouted buckwheat, and then some raw balls, right, where you get these little power balls. Mine usually have chocolate in them. And you're just doing that all in one session, and at the end you have come up with, wow, you have stuff that'll last you months. Then the next session might be much more around tasks and cleaning and organizing your compost, organizing your recycling, cleaning out some jars, making sure your food is stocked. I use Raw Food World. If you go to yogahealer.com/food, FOOD, that'll give you a link right into their site. And I think I may even have some favorite products on there. That's where I get all my nuts and seeds and things that I want, like the highest degree of energetic potency and in a good raw variety. So more or less what I want to say with kitchen sadhana, we have a ton of links in this lesson that go into different blog posts on different recipes. Start with your desire, right? Like start with where the Shakti wants to lead you. Trust your desire. Like this does not have to be this big spiritual practice. It can be, if that's what you want. It can just be a very grounding way for you to consciously prepare your future body, for you to co-create with food and consciousness that which is at the energetic vibration that you're humming at, or that you want to hum at in the future. We've all had the experience where we've been on a yoga retreat or a meditation retreat or in some sort of consciousness raising experience, and we've noticed that during those experiences we've wanted to eat very light, and we've only been attracted to very, very high nutrient, high agni foods, foods that are easy to digest and very much nutrify our physiology. And we've also had the inverse experience where we're eating foods that are of a very low vibrational quality. And we may have like an elevated mood and all of a sudden we crash and we bottom out. And we feel like crap and we go to bed and we're like, oh, why did I eat? And then we wake up the next day, it's like, oh, why did I eat that yesterday, right? And we feel that regression. So what food sadhana is all about, kitchen sadhana is all about, is saying like, hey, we get it. We get cause and effect. How do I want to feel in the next phase of my life? Let me take a couple hours, When we look at the time here, I would say it's about 2 hours every, a couple times a month that you're investing in yourself. You're investing in your consciousness. You're investing in your body. You're investing in your vibration. And what you'll start to notice is that when you do this, you do have more, because there's a natural abundance quality with kitchen sadhana, that you have more than you need. And so it's a very natural thing to give away. And what's so beautiful is that because your consciousness is raised and because you're intentional about what you're creating, is that your gift is actually raising the vibration of those that you're gifting to. And to me, that's such a cool little side benefit. There's a lot of side benefits with kitchen sadhana. I know for me, it's something that I just relax into. It's part of my household rhythms. It's part of my child's home education, if you will. And then it honestly makes meal prep really, really fast. Because if you have, for instance, your dehydrator crackers and you have your sauerkraut already ready and you have your spice mixes and you have your tea mixes and say you make a salad dressing, it becomes very easy to quickly put together a meal. Enjoy your time in the kitchen.